Let's start the chapter Multiplication in Plants, Chapter 11, on page 163 and 164. We have been discussing about asexual reproduction in plants. Asexual reproduction modes are budding, fragmentation, spore formation, vegetative propagations. Through vegetative propagation, we have studied runner, tuber, rhizome, and bryophyllum, that is foliar buds, root tubers. From this, we will get new baby plant. Today, we are going to discuss about sexual reproduction in plants. We know that flower is a reproductive organ of a plant. In a sexual reproduction of a plant, flower play a major role in this production of new baby plant. How it happens? You know that inside the flower, seed is embedded. From the seed develops new baby plant. In some case, some flowers are having both the male and female reproductive parts in a flower, whereas some flowers are having only male reproductive part and the others are having female reproductive part. We know that there are gametes are present, that is male and female gametes are present in male and reproductive part of the flower. These both male and female gametes fuse to form zygote. Such action of fusion of both male and female gamete is called fertilization. After fertilization, seeds and fruits are produced. Seeds on getting favorable condition produce into new baby plant. Here an activity 3 is to study the parts of a flower. If you take hibiscus flower, we can notice different part of a flower. The first outer covering, the green color part of a plant is called sepals. Then comes beautiful colored part of a flower is called petals. Then innermost layer is called pedicel or receptacle. This pedicel consists of stamens and carpels. Stamen is a male part of a flower and a carpel is a female part of a flower. Outer part of a flower, sepals and petals together form the accessory whorl, whereas the inner part of a flower, stamens and carpels are together called reproductive whorl or pedicel. This is all about the different parts of a flower. Now let's discuss about complete flower and incomplete flower. What is called a complete flower? In a flower, if the 4 words, that is sepals, petals, stamens and carpels are present, then this flower or such a flower is called a complete flower. Complete flower are normally bisexual, having both the reproductive part like gametes like male gametes stamen, female gametes carpels. Finally, we can conclude that if a flower has all the 4 parts of a flower, then such a flower is called complete flower. Example, China rose. Then incomplete flower means just opposite to complete flower. In incomplete flower, it lacks any part, any of these 4 parts. Like it may be missing stamen or it may be missing carpel. That means some plant is called male gamete, whereas other flower has female gamete. But in complete flower, all the 4 parts are present in a single flower, whereas in incomplete flower, only one reproductive part will be there along with other part of the flower. So incomplete flower is called unisexual flower because it has either stamen or carpel in a single flower. Cucumber and corn plants have different male and female flowers on the same plant. But in papaya and mulberry, the female and male flowers may be born on separate plants. Stamen consists of filament, anther and connective. Anther has 2 anther lobes containing pollen grains. Pollen grains are very small in size like dust particles. Each pollen grains develop into double layered thick wall. The outer wall is made of waterproof substance. Male gametes are produced inside the pollen grains, which is very small in size. When we see female part of a flower, carpel, which has major 3 parts, that is stigma, style, ovary. Inside the ovary, it contains one or more ovule. which produce female gametes or egg. Egg is called female gametes. So male part of the flower stamen has major parts like anther, inside the anther pollen grains, which is called male gametes. The same way the carpel female part of the flower is called carpel, inside the carpel which consists of three major parts: stigma, style, ovary. Inside the ovary develops female gamete called egg. Now let's see how this pollination occurs. Male gamete and female gamete fuse together. There are two types of pollination. First we study what is pollination. The transfer of pollen grains from the anther, that is male part of the flower, to stigma is called pollination. What is pollination? The transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma is called pollination. There are two types of pollination. One is self-pollination, the other one is cross-pollination. What is self-pollination? The transfer of pollen grains take place from anther of a flower to the stigma of the same flower. In this, the bisexual flower is an example. Self-pollination takes place in bisexual flower. In a flower, both the male gametes and female gametes are produced. That means in a flower, both the stamens and carpels are present. Stamens, in the stamens, what is there? Pollen grains are developed. This pollen grain is transferred to the female part of the flower, that is stigma of a flower. Then the pollination occurs. Such a type of pollination takes place in same flower is called self-pollination. What is self-pollination? Transfer of pollen grains from the stamen to or from anther to stigma of the same flower of a same plant. But in cross-pollination, two flowers are required. One is male flower, the other one is female flower. So here pollen grains transfer from male flower to female flower. This is called cross-pollination, which can be taken place different plants of the same species. Finally, we can conclude that for self-pollination, only one flower is required, in which, that is bisexual flower, in which both the male and female part is present. But in cross-pollination, two different flowers are required, in which, that is one of male flower, the other is of female flower. Now the question is how this transformation of gametes from male flower to female flower occurs, or male part of the flower to female part of the flower occurs. For this, different agents are involved. For example, insect, wind, birds, squirrels, bats, these are the agents which is responsible for pollination. For example, when the birds or insects visit from flowers to flower, accidentally this anther stick on its body. And also when they sit on another flower, accidentally that anthers which is stick to their body falls into the stigma female part of the flower. Thus pollination occurs. Now we can realize that these are the important agents which are responsible for the pollination process in flower.